Hold on.
Look at y'all with your fancy background.
Hey, Lakayla. She's muted now.
Hey, Deidre.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, Deidre Eccles.
So quick question, who's gonna mute us when people's backgrounds get loud because they're not muted?
Should be the host.
And I think that's Brandy, right?
I will.
Okay, thank you, Brandy. Hey. Let me know when we're ready to roll.
Hey everybody, welcome. We're about to get started. We're just letting a few more people in right now, and then we'll get started shortly.
Ashley, I sent you a message.
All right.
I am back, but I don't have my deal. So I'm gonna try it again. So I'm in the thing. Do I press edit?
Let me look at what mine says, Meryl.
Okay. Or do I press the plus?
Plus. Push the
Okay.
plus.
Okay, now. Okay, I think I did it. Oh my God. It's there.
Yay.
Yay, Merle.
But you might need to turn your phone the other way so you can see. There you go.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to Passion for Profit. We are so excited to be here today. My name is Ashley Calhoun. I am from the North Atlanta office. I'm going to pass the mic to Yamiki from KW Atlanta Cherokee, and she's going to get us rolling. I hope you enjoy what we've got for you today.
Let me make sure I'm well. Good evening, KW Southeast Region. I'm Yamiki Stevens, your Social Equity Ambassador from Keller Williams Woodstock. Thank you for joining our Social Equity Task Force Wealth Building Committee's first Passion for Profit event. First, I would like to thank Mike Ray, Lisa Romine, our panelists and our committee for making this happen. Please allow me to introduce our panelists to you. Merle Johnson is affectionately known by his industry peers as the godfather of real estate. Merle obtained his real estate license October 19, 2001, just after September 11th. He worked hard that year to become the Rookie of the Year at Caldwell Banker Residential Brokerage, Smyrna Vinings. In December 2003, Merle moved his practice to Keller Williams Realty Cityside, where he remained in the top 10 for the next 4 years. Merle has served as team leader of the Keller Williams Realty Atlanta Classic from 2007 to 2011. He has been the #1 selling agent in Keller Williams Atlanta Classic Market Center from 2011 to 2018. He served on the Agent Leadership Council. In 2019, Merle returned to his beloved Cityside, where he ranks in the top 5 of individual agents and sold over 10 million in sales volume in 2019, 47 units. Merle has recruited over 500 agents to the company during his career and has mentored the majority of them in their careers. Merle has been the #1 profit share agent in his market center for his entire 18 years with the company. Merle is one of the co-owners of Keller Williams Realty Atlanta Classic office located at Camp Creek. Stephanie Nielsen has been in the real estate business for 32 years and is the operating partner of KW Partners in Woodstock. She came to Keller Williams 18 years ago as a mega agent and is an investor in the Woodstock office and has assisted in launching several Keller Williams offices in Georgia. Stephanie has also had the privilege of serving as team leader and general manager during her time with the best company on the planet. Bill Langwood is a productivity coach with Keller Williams Realty Consultants in Roswell. He is a 16-year real estate industry veteran, 10.5 years of that with Keller Williams, serving on the Agent Leadership Council as growth chair for 7 years and as team leader for 1.5 years. He's married to Rachel and the father to Mariam, Shanna, and Ben. Bill has a background in economics and psychology and believes strongly in the educational approach to growing businesses and loves the opportunity to coach and consult top producers in his current role. Additionally, Bill has attracted over 250 agents to Keller Williams Realty. He recently founded Agent Business Advantage, a company providing real estate agents with virtual assistant leverage to grow their lives and businesses. He is also a regional minority owner of Keller Williams Israel. Iman Heisler is a first-generation American born in Detroit and grew up in New Orleans. Her parents were born just outside of Jerusalem, and her older brothers were born in Kuwait. Prior to real estate, Iman was a dental hygienist and graduated from LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans. She also had a direct sales business for 5 years. Iman has been in real estate since 2019 and was Keller Williams Realty Partners Rookie of the Year in 2019 and Cherokee Association of Realtors Rookie of the Year, 2020, and Keller Williams and Cherokee Association of Realtors Rookie of the Year for 2020. In 2021, Iman became a member of the ALC. Iman also has 15 people in her downline. She's married and her husband both love drag racing. Let's give the mic back to Tisha.
Hello, everybody, and it is such a pleasure to be with you this day. I am so excited about my favorite subject, which is profit share. I'm so happy that our panelists have joined us, and I just wanted to let you know that I am with Keller Williams Cityside, and I am the social equity ambassador for our group. Profit share is one of those things that I am completely passionate about, thus the name. I've been with Keller Williams since 2014, and I have about 10 people in my downline. Most are cappers. So I can't wait to talk about how our panelists are using profit share to fund their lives worth living, and their retirements. So let's kick it off. First question to our panelists. Brandy, let me know when you're ready.
We're ready.
Okay, we got them spotlighted. All right, here we go. What approach did you take to growing your profit share tree? Jump in, whoever's ready.
Well, I'll start. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I think when I first was approached about coming to Keller Williams, profit share was something that was distinct from the company that I was at currently. So first of all, that plus the fact that there was a cap. So those two things I was attracted to immediately. And when market centers were started, when I joined in 2003, they were handled differently when they started. Now they're almost profitable immediately. So when I came to Cityside, it probably took us 6 months or so before there was ever a profit. So as I was giving names to the team leader every month, I was really not getting anything for at least 6 months. So I had to really believe that it was going to happen, and because it wasn't happening right away. And then the very first profit sharing that came through was $1,300. So now that immediately set me on fire, because in 2003, that was almost like a little junior lightweight closing. And then once that happened, then I just always was attracted to it. And when I was at Coldwell Banker, I recruited agents there too. I just didn't get anything for it, but I was always able to attract people. And I used that when I learned that I would be rewarded for it. So that was my thing with profit share.
Awesome.
I wasn't nearly as smart as Merle. I was not attracted to the profit share when I first joined Keller Williams. I came over for the culture was the big attractor factor to me. And my husband was attracted by the cap for sure. And we joined Keller Williams and got our first profit share check. They kept trying to tell us about profit share. We kept saying, yeah, whatever, that profit share thing, just what about this? What about this? And then we got our first profit share check. And then we went back and said, wait a minute, now what about this profit share thing? And then we got excited about the profit share. It was kind of an after the fact piece. For building the approach to growing the profit share tree, we really focused on my relationships. I'd been very involved in the Georgia Association for many years. Prior to joining Keller Williams, we joined November 5th, 2003. So 2003 was also our year. And I remember the exact date because it turned out to be a really big date, significant date in our lives. And so I'd been really involved in the Georgia Association and my local board. And so I had a lot of local agent relationships over the years. And so I was so totally passionate about Keller Williams. And I knew that I was doing something for people by sharing it with them and not doing something to them. And so that was my approach. It was just really going back to the people that I knew. And I was so excited about what I was experiencing that I just wanted to share it with them. So I invited them to different events and things. And I wish I had been a little bit smarter and saw it right off the bat. I could take a lesson from you.
I feel like my profit share is a combination of Meryl's and Stephanie's, because profit share was one of the big things, but also culture. So when my sponsor gave me a tour of the office and sat with me, he said, so ask me anything you need to know about Keller Williams. My first and only question was, so tell me more about profit share. So when other people were graduating and getting their license with me, they were asking about commission splits, and I just wanted to know what profit share was all about. And my approach has definitely changed over the last 2 years. When I first started, it was pure excitement. That's all I knew. I had the least amount of knowledge about real estate, but I knew I loved Keller Williams and I wanted everyone to know about it. And over the 2 years, I've become more intentional. So my coach, Dina Mitchell, has sat with me and created a 1-3-5. So now I'm intentional about my approach and inviting even more seasoned agents and bringing the value of Keller Williams to profit share as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and be on this panel. This is awesome. Stephanie, I love what you said, that you're not doing something to them, you're doing something for them. I was in the business for about 5.5 years at one of our competitors, and had become one of their top agents. And I was making good money. I didn't know what to do next, right? I was waiting for somebody to help me, teach me about leverage or, better technology or better systems. And it wasn't really available. Ultimately, I did a transaction with a woman who was at Remax at the time. And the day after our closing, she moved to KW. And that day she called me and said, you need to come here. And then after about 9 months or so, including a trip to Austin and all that, I finally agreed. But I think I'd noticed that there was something unusual about this, just based on her, kind of continuing to reach out to me. And I was trying to figure out what that was all about. when I made the move, I had one other person come with me about 2 or 3 weeks later. Then I had another person join about 2-3 years later. And I really didn't get serious about it until I'd always been growth chair of the ALC. I've done that for 9-10 years. And we were out an assistant team leader, and I ended up taking all the recruiting leads. I stepped in and basically ran that program. So I was doing all the career days. I was doing all the new agent interviews. I was learning what to say and how to say it and how to track everything. Then we hired the assistant team leader. And so I had all this knowledge, yet I didn't have any leads. And meanwhile, I had been kind of a groupie, if you will, of Aaron Kaufman, who is, you know, the KW effect. And I'm probably one of the few people that's actually done exactly what he told us to do. And I took a very calculated approach to growing the profit share. I said, this is back when Craigslist was not charging for post, and I posted job ads in 89 cities, which was every city across the country that had a KW office within 30 minutes and was free. I ended up meeting team leaders all across the country, getting offered opportunities along the way. And I ultimately, as I was building my sales team, when it was quote time to lead generate, I prefer generating leads for KW as opposed to calling for sale by owners or whatever. So as those opportunities came, I gave those more and more to my teammates, and I spent more and more time generating opportunities for profit share. And ultimately, as we heard, this is a measure of influence, right? This is how we show our influence. And many of us have gotten, you know, equity opportunities and leadership opportunities as a result of our affiliation and passionate about profit share. I just think it is seriously the best thing at KW.
Tej, can I chime in real quick? Sorry. I'm monitoring the chat, and before we move any further, there were 2 really important questions, and it would be great if we could take a quick step back and anybody can answer. It's a lot of people on the call have zero knowledge of what profit share is. So if we could do a quick profit share 101 and when do you get your first check, that would be great.
Does anyone want to take that?
Sure, go ahead, Bill.
So typically speaking, the investor of the market center, you know, they receive all the revenues, they pay all the expenses, and whatever's left over is profit, and the profit goes to the owners or to the investors. And that's how your general real estate firm works. At KW, what happens is all the revenues come in. The revenues are largely fees and the fees that our agents are paying en route to capping. Then we pay our expenses and the rest is profit. Instead of the ownership taking all of that money, they share a little bit less than half of that money back through the agent profit share pool. When you come to Keller Williams, you're asked a question that says, who was the person most influential in your choice to come to the company? Let's say I named Stephanie. Then when I have a transaction that yields company dollar, meaning a 30% to the office, again, that money is going to be used to pay the expenses, and some will trickle down to become profit. Because Stephanie was the one that influenced me, theoretically, we wouldn't have that profit if it wasn't for Stephanie. So my direct sponsor would receive a portion of the profit that was a function of my transaction or multiple transactions. So the direct sponsor receives 50% of that money, and then the 6 levels above that receive a total of 50% of that money. When do you get your first check? Every office in Metro Atlanta is profitable. Obviously, you have to have profit share, but in Metro Atlanta, that should not be a problem at any of our offices. If I were to have a transaction that yielded company dollar, let's say I had that transaction in September, we transmit the books at the end of September, and then the sponsor and the 6 levels above the sponsor would receive their payout or their profit share check on the 21st of the following month.
Thank you for that, Bill.
That's directly deposited into your account. No, bookkeeping or chasing it down or anything like that.
What we call that mailbox money or direct deposit.
That's
So
right.
Question number 2. What is the one thing you'd recommend someone focus on when deciding to build their profit share tree? So for those of folks who've said, I don't have anything, no profit share, haven't even started, where would you tell them to start?
I'll take that one. I feel that anyone, just like we are taught to lead generate for buyers and sellers, I've always felt that I could lead generate for buyers, sellers, and agents, or people that have an interest in real estate. And I will tell you a good number over the last year of people that have added to my profit share tree have been past clients. And these people have an opportunity to have a ringside seat to see what you do. And if they have a respect for you, oftentimes people are looking for career changes. This was not my first career. I had been an accountant and been a CFO and had a whole career for 17 years, well before I ever was a real estate agent. I never considered being, in fact, when I got my license, I never imagined being a full-time real estate professional. I had 4 children. My ex-wife was a housewife at the time. I never could imagine leaving a job for a maybe commission. So you never know who is paying attention to you. And also a good place to look at are the people that you're co-oping transactions with. Because you're doing a transaction with them, you're probably speaking to them every day. There's a way to just sort of ease in what you like about the company. And so you have to be aware of maybe 5 things that you really enjoy about the company that you can speak about with ease.
Okay, anyone else want to tackle that question?
Yeah, I love what Meryl, I was going to say the exact same thing. Just like you, real estate agents are no different than buyers or sellers. The more contacts you have, the more relationships you build, the more opportunity will come from that. It's that simple. So just like you track buyers and sellers and you track, touch points along the way, you gather the same exact data from real estate agents. And what I've found over the years is that if you ask a real estate agent how their business is, generally speaking, they're going to complain pretty quickly. And the complaints are going to sound, they're going to sound one of 2 ways. They're either going to talk about how they do not have enough leads, or they're going to talk about how they have too many leads. It's one or the other. And I don't believe there's a better company to both of those paths than Keller Williams. We wrote the book on that stuff, right? So whether it's technology or lead gen or systems or models or training or coaching, or whether it's career visioning and leadership opportunities and KWRI stuff, we have a path for any agent, and even the ones that are making a lot of money. What I found is right around that $4 to $5 million or so in sales volume. If you're alone, you're struggling, you want some help. And no other brokerage that I'm aware of talks about being a business owner. So it's really important that you understand, I believe, the business side of this. And if you pay attention to how the money works, you'll pay attention to where the incentives are, right? There's a lot of things. You don't have to know all the equations and all that. You just have to be a friendly person who's happy to share and has a little bit of acumen about it.
All right.
I would say one thing I would recommend, just like in your real estate business, don't be a secret agent. Let everyone know how much you love Keller Williams, how much you enjoy being a realtor, because that you never know who's watching. And then also don't limit yourself to just your area. Most people think I can only grow a downline in my state or in my city. One of my goals is to have a referral partner in every state. So I make sure that I talk to people all over and let them know how much I enjoy it.
That's brilliant, Iman.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Really, it's about as real estate agents, as realtors, we talk to people everywhere we go, and I think Bill mentioned it in the last question. It really is about influence and demonstrating influence. And for people who are interested in leadership in KW or investment opportunities in KW, a lot of people think that people who are team leaders have large profit share trees. And the truth is, people who have large profit share trees have an opportunity to become team leaders. Because one of the things they look at when they're looking for leadership is they look at people who have exhibited their influence up to that point, right? Because leadership is influence. And I've always looked at it as this has been my responsibility to share this with other people. I'm so grateful that Chris McKeith, Darla Smith, and Chris Ferguson called me. They didn't have to call me. They didn't have to share this awesome gift with me, and yet they did. And I look at the transformation in my life, in my financial picture, how I parented, how I think. Every aspect of my life has been transformed by this company. What if they didn't call me that day? What if they made a judgment and said, she'll never move? Man, she's been there forever. She was a trainer at that company. She's totally set there. She'll never make that move. What if they'd had that limiting belief and not just picked up the phone and asked me to come meet with them? So when I have that limiting thought about this agent is, they're happy where they are. Great. That's who you want to talk to. You want to talk to the happy people. You want to talk to the disgruntled people. You want to talk to the happy people who are just looking for something else and something more. So whenever I have that moment, I have to stop and think, what if somebody had that thought about me and not given me the opportunity to enjoy the life that I have currently?
Yeah, I really like the way you said that.
Awesome.
It's a gift. It's a gift, and it's a blessing that we've been given. And I look at it as my responsibility to share that. Who am I to keep that to myself?
It really is the gift that keeps on giving. Believe
it really is.
Yeah,
it really is.
Thank you so much. So what suggestion do you have for a new agent who has no deals with other agents as far as when it comes to recruiting?
I would say as a newer agent, I feel obligated to answer this one for sure. So when we were all brand new, we, had study groups if we did our courses online. So one thing I did is I kept that connection, that relationship that I had with other people that were also brand new in the business. I developed that relationship, came from contribution, and I made sure to tell myself, you're the messenger, not the message. So go get them and bring them to your leadership who knows all the answers. You don't have to know all the answers. Bring them, enjoy, show your excitement, and then pass them along to someone who can give them the details.
You're the messenger, not the message. I love that.
Yeah. I think it's really important, Iman, I think you brought this up earlier, that we're not limited to only corresponding with the people that we happen to have done deals with, right? And we're not limited to our general area. I mean, when I got really going, I was looking at bolds that were anywhere in the country, calling the team leader of this random office where there was a bold happening and said, hey, I want to bring some people in your area at your competing brokerages to bold. Would you be available to meet them when they show up? Right? And they're like, what? But I was committed to making this thing work. It was going to happen. Right. So I think a new agent, it's really all about the story. I mean, all four of us have stories that very clearly depict how life was prior to KW and how life is after KW. And if we can get really, really clear about sharing our story, everything fits into place. Because if you're like, hey, want to come to KW? Want to come to KW? They can smell that a mile away. Right? You've got to be a giver and you got to ask questions, just like we do with buyers and sellers. And just like you have a database of people in your community, you should have a database of real estate agents, right? And you share with them, hey, we got a listing presentation class. Hey, we got family reunion. Hey, we've got bold. And they're not going to get mad at you for inviting them to stuff.
So it reminds us of the bold law, come from contribution.
100%.
Thank you. Anybody else want to chime in?
I have another one that's sort of coming from contribution. And I used to do this more before we were doing electronic signatures. And for those of you who have been around for a while, you remember the blue ink signatures that we used to have to do, clear copies. And most of the time that I was doing a co-op with a broker outside of our brokerage, our offices, quite honestly, were prettier than theirs. And I used everything, that I could use. And especially after we did the whole KW experience. So I would invite the people to lunch and I would invite them to come and do the clean copies at my office. And we'd go in the conference room and we'd sit down. And of course, I had to give them a tour when they got there. And our offices typically have more agents in them. Our offices have an energy and a culture. And the people were just impressed by what they saw when they came behind the walls. And the reason I chose something like doing the clean copies or anything like education or anything is because it's a non-threatening invitation. They're not expecting to be, in fact, I never really recruited them. I just invited them to do the clean copies or whatever the reason was. If you can get them to meet you at the office and then invite them in for whatever reason, there is a warmth and a synergy and an energy that we have in these offices that we really need to take advantage of. And you could be a brand new agent or a longtime agent. That energy is going to serve you the same.
Yeah, I did the same thing with MREA books. I probably bought a couple hundred MREA books in my time and just handed them out. And people have, you guys don't understand how lucky you are, really, if you've not been at another firm. These conversations are not happening elsewhere. No discussion of quality of life, no discussion of building a team, no discussion of, fourth industrial revolution and tech and all that, not even happening.
Bill, I think,
go ahead.
I was just going to say that's one of the things that I talk about a lot at our office is that starting your career at KW is like being born into a wealthy family. You have no real concept that like you've never been hungry before, so you don't know what it's like to be hungry. You've never curled your toes over because your shoes didn't fit. You just can't, you don't understand what it's like to not have that. So these conversations are not happening in other companies. And I promise you, when you invite them to a training class at one of our offices and they experience that, they're mesmerized and just like, how do I get more? It really does not take a lot to show them the difference between KW. We just recently had a couple of agents that joined our office, and what they said was, when I co-op with a KW agent, there's something that they know that I don't know. And I want to know what it is.
Wow.
So Bill, we had the question, what is MREA?
Oh, that's the Millionaire Real Estate book, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the red book by Gary and Jay. So you can go to kellerinc.com and you can order them in bundles. I've ordered a ridiculous amount of bundles.
I would call it the real estate Bible.
Yes.
The how to do everything in real estate.
Right.
I would say it's this, and I have a burden for the newer agents that, because people say to me, oh, you've been there forever. But, one day I was that new agent. And there is a reason why each of us joined Keller Williams. In fact, there may be 3 or 4 or 5 reasons why. And I think if you are in touch with yourself to understand what those reasons are, and then I'll tell you further, there's a reason why you remain there.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's many opportunities, and I get phone calls every month, and there's a reason why I choose to remain there. Many peers that we know have started their own brokerages. There's a reason why we choose to stay here. And if you are able to articulate that with passion to someone, it's a very easy something, because if you know why, it's no different than why you married somebody or know why you did any decision you made. If you really understand what that is and can articulate it, it can really be an attractive thing, and that can be the thing to get somebody in there. Also, during times like these, when we're in this pandemic, everyone's examining everything about their life right now. So for you to be silent right now is a huge mistake.
Yeah, I think that so many people, from being team leader and being productivity coach, I would venture to say, if you ask 100 real estate agents, are you on goal? 99% of them are not on goal. So if you can identify the gap between where they're at and where they would like to be, and help them understand that the gap is creating a big gap in their financial future. And it's impacting more than just them, right? It's impacting their families, their peers, their neighbors, et cetera. They're looking for somebody to solve their problems. They're looking for somebody to give them the resources because they're not getting it where they are.
Thank you for that. Go
And
ahead.
right now, Tish, every company does not do virtual well. So even some of the people that you've spoken to in the past, you know, you need to speak to them again, because wherever they may be, you know, every company has not mastered, you know, this education and just this connectedness that we seem to have. Every brokerage does not master that well. And some people are very frustrated and they're waiting for your phone call.
You know, Meryl, that is so that's so important. One of the things that happened when the pandemic happened was we had the pivot shift group that was created by James Shaw, and I can tell you that that is the reason why my business did not fall off a cliff during the pandemic. And just that meeting, and I met so many people at KW just virtually that I would not have had the opportunity to connect with because of the pandemic. But you know, one of the things that I just love about this company next to the side is how we're just a helping organization. We're always helping each other. And I'd never seen a company where it wasn't as competitive as it was helpful. You know, we just want to help. I think that's awesome. Thank you.
Every opportunity, guys. And I'm going to shut up, but I
Don't
love
shut up,
profit
Meryl.
share. There's a person who is, and this is a true story, and if Cece is on here, she'll tell you. There's a young man that I spoke to some time ago, and unfortunately, he's young, like 30s, in his 30s, and a dynamic at one of our competitors. And unfortunately, he just survived stage 4 cancer.
Mm.
They don't have a KW Cares at his company. And he got 2 phone calls from his broker throughout that entire horrendous, life-threatening experience. And they did not have a car wash. They didn't have anything for him.
Can you explain what KW Cares is, Meryl?
So KW Cares is our charitable arm. It's a 501c3 organization that is there for agent hardships. So if you ever had a hardship, we are able from our commission checks to have a withholding donated as a charitable contribution, which is tax deductible, that will benefit our agent partners. And you know, I can remember when I first came to KW, someone's sister in the city side office was murdered. And suddenly that agent instantly became a parent of a bunch of children that were her nieces and nephews. And it was Christmas time and she didn't even have a tree. And that KW Cares kicked in and they made all of that stuff happen. And that was my first encounter, you know, with seeing that really happen, to where they cut checks. And, you know, so over the years that I've been here, I've seen things that would make you cry. And they really, at the inspirational breakfasts at the KW family reunions, they used to make you cry. Even me, because I'm not a crier, make you cry. You know, the stories that have happened. I remember someone was attacked by like a pit bull just showing houses, that any of us could have that happen. And then suddenly you can't work. So, you know, this guy is now ready to sign up. And I'm going to sponsor him to this bowl that the Rawls group is having. And it's because he went through cancer. So you just have no idea what someone's reason will be. And it has nothing to do with real estate, but he was left alone to sort of, you know, pray his way through. And there was really no one helped him with his business, with his pipeline, nothing.
Fantastic. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Meryl. How do you stay engaged with everyone in your profit share tree?
So I stay engaged. I'm always connecting with them, reminding them to stay engaged. I always think of it like standing around a campfire. Your market center is that campfire. And if you continue to keep your hands close to the fire, stay plugged in, that they're going to help you be successful. and just remind them that you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. So the further away you step back from that, you know, it's not helping your business. So to just stay plugged in and stay engaged.
Awesome. Anyone else?
I have not done a fabulous job as my profit share tree has gotten larger. With this on my intention list this year to do some masterminds and some events. I'd love to know from some of the people that are on this call what kinds of things they would like to see from their sponsors that would be beneficial to them. My profit share tree has grown over the years. I have 23 in my first line and 355 in my total tree. And they're spread out in different places, right? And consider doing like live events. And I don't know that that would be feasible. And through the pandemic, the one thing that's shown is that Zoom is a very efficient way to communicate. So I'd love to get some ideas from some people out there on ways that would be effective and beneficial to them.
I've done, I have a Facebook group that's just private for the people in my downline. And I'm, every once in a while, I'm not the best at it at the moment, but every once in a while I'll put out some content or invite them to a class. I have done a Zoom, 1 or 2 Zoom masterminds over the last 2 years or so, year and a half. I used to, before it got really big, I would call we get the printout of what the breakdown of, this person did this and it resulted in this much. This person did this and it resulted in this much. At one point, I was calling every single person that had a transaction and thanking them. Yeah. Then my next version of that was having my assistant text all of them, right? And I've done, when I stepped into the team leader role, I had a really tight system. I had leads, I had the assistant, I had systems, and I had texting programs and all kinds of stuff. And I needed to recruit for Roswell, not everywhere. So I reached out to a couple of my recruits and taught them everything. And now they are recruiting, and we're both the beneficiaries of that. So I've given that opportunity to probably 10 or 12 people in my downline.
I love that, Bill. Teach them to fish. That's fantastic. Anyone else want to jump in? All right.
Well, I also, if you, like I mentioned, Bold, that's coming up, I have contacted all of my people in my downline, and sometimes I may not even want to take a Bold, but I will take it with them. And so I invite them to come, because the more that I build their business, the more it builds my profit share. I do things like that. When we have conferences, anybody who's willing to come to the conference or the family reunion or the mega camp, I will find a time and I will invite my people. Like I can remember taking everyone that traveled to Vegas one year to go see the Michael Jackson show, and I spent some of that profit share back on them. So having something like that where they get to benefit locally for my people, like there's real estate connections that's here locally. If they come there, maybe I'm going to sponsor the drinks that night for everybody in my downline. And, there's just things that people feel is a benefit, and it doesn't have to be always learning based. Sometimes it can be fun, and just keep them connected so they don't get lost. Those that need my maybe mentoring or whatever, I avail myself to them that way, and they know that they have that, and they really sort of brag about it to people that are not in my downline, that they have this access to me, which is, in some cases a big deal to some of those people. So whatever thing that can be of value, you may not think it's a big deal, but it may be to them.
I love that, Meryl. Can you please explain what Bold is?
So Bold is a lead generation class, and it really, this go around will be my 17th time going. It's a class that the cost is $799. And the first time I went, I put it on a credit card because at the time my cash flow was funny. So I've told people you can't afford not to do it. And the equivalent, it's sort of like having a personal trainer. you're not going to go to Bold and learn a ton of new things. They're going to re-emphasize things that you already know to do. And it's sort of like going to the gym. I mean, the treadmill hasn't changed since the last time I saw it. But sometimes having a person that just put their hand in your back and make you do the things that you already know you need to do. And there's a team element to it. And so you don't want to be the weak link on the team. And so there's accountability with it. There's fun. There's just a lot that happens. And every time I've ever taken it, I've not only made the $799 back, but I've done more than I ever would have done on my own.
Yeah, and you meet people. I mean, I took a bowl down in Camp Creek in 2012, I believe, and met Merrill, right? So
I remember
now I
that.
have a bunch of people contacts down there because it's a little far for me. I don't know the area well, and so I'll refer that to other people, right? And more often than not, they don't want to work on the north side of town, so they'll send me a piece of business, right? So it's just more relationships, whatever it takes to get more relationships. I mean, one year I said, hey, whoever brings the most people to Keller Williams or sponsors the most people between, I think it was like July and the end of the year, I will buy their ticket to family reunion. And I had one woman that attracted 50 people to Keller Williams in 7 months.
Wow.
That's fantastic. So BOLD stands for Business Objective Life by Design. And I really did not know that I could have a life by design actually until I got to BOLD and I realized that I could just plan it out. I mean, it's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. So do you have a systematized approach to building your profit share tree? And if so, what is that approach?
For me, my approach is when I'm planning my week, I set and time block 3 to 5 hours of that week. And you can time block less than that or more than that, but just to focus on building my profit share. So I mentioned earlier the 1-3-5. So if someone doesn't know what that is, it's having one goal and you have 3 priorities to reach that goal and then 5 strategies for each one. So I will focus on new agents. I'll focus on my co-op agents, and then also on building a new business center near us, adding agents to that new business center. So I will time block 3 to 5 hours that week and say, I'm going to focus just on that. So that way it's systematic and it's intentional.
Fantastic. Anyone else?
I think it's just, if you give it attention, you'll get the results, right? Every 21st of the month, I add my number to my, lifetime number, and my wife is my sponsor. I add her number to the lifetime number. I mean, in 5-ish years, 4.5 to 5 years of really working this, we've been paid over $300,000. I mean, this is an incredible money. This isn't just, $10 there, $10 there.
So the BOLD law is what you focus on expands, right?
100%.
Absolutely.
Love it.
I think focusing on helping people in your profit share tree grow their tree. So you look at the different levels, and level 1 is 50%, right? For your 50% sponsor. Level 7 is 12.5%. And contrary to what you may think, 50% obviously being more than 12.5%, but the majority of your money will come from your level 7. The level 7s, and it's just because it's much wider. And so it's where people are sponsoring people, that old commercial, and they told 2 friends and they told 2 friends and so on and so on. And it continues to grow. And also retention's much better when someone experiences profit share. And so as you help people that you've attracted to the company experience the benefit of profit share and what that can do for your life and transforming your life, then they experience that transformation in their life as well. So in growing your profit share tree, sometimes the best way to grow it is to help the people in your first line get their first person in their first line, and then they'll reach back and do that all the way down.
Yeah, the exciting part is I don't have a single person in my 5th, 6th, or 7th level yet.
Ah, wow.
So
you have lots of exciting more times with those kind of numbers coming.
Right. They say if you build it wide, time will build it deep.
That's right.
That's fantastic.
I want to share something too, because I'm not very disciplined with regard to having, this strategy, but whatever it is that I do, and this is going to just crack a whole bunch of people wide open, I hope. For example, we all have to take continuing education, right? And oftentimes our market centers offer it. And I always hear everybody looking for the free class, and I see that people run to do that, and that's great. But I like to travel pre-pandemic. I like to travel. And so I've really tried to take my profit share in other cities and states. And people don't know you can do that. If I want to go to New York City, I find a class in New York that I need, and I book my flight, I book my hotel, I may even stay a day or two extra, and the entire trip I write off. I am going to be the only person in the room from Atlanta, I promise. And many of the people will not be from KW. You get to have lunch with a whole room full of people that will be so impressed that you thought to do this. And it is a huge referral opportunity, and it is a huge huge recruiting opportunity, because the people are going to be interested to know you, and you get to give your card to every single person. You get all of theirs, you communicate from there. And I promise you, every time you're going to get referrals from whatever city that is. So figure out where you want to go visit. There are CE classes on cruises. There are CE classes everywhere. And so if you just figure out what you like to do and then look for the opportunity, it doesn't have to be something that's a chore.
It could also be where you reach out to the leadership in Manhattan, let's say, and say, hey, I'm Merle Johnson. I've done this and this and this and this. I'd like to teach a class at your market.
Exactly.
Then it puts you as a authority figure.
Absolutely.
And then the referrals will quadruple.
Absolutely.
Now, Meryl, you just gave me some goosebumps, because everybody knows how much I love to travel, right?
Well, see?
I hadn't even thought of that. That is just absolutely incredible. Oh, but it's on my radar now. Trust me.
Well, and I'm going to even make it bigger, because I want some of that growth share. So it doesn't have to be where there is a Keller Williams. Okay. So you can go to where there is not a Keller Williams, and maybe you will hatch a Keller Williams.
But with Keller Williams International, is so many great places that you can go and take classes all over this world. That is absolutely incredible.
And I do that too.
Yeah, you can go teach internationally as well.
Yeah, we have agents in our office that have taught in France and Italy and Greece.
England, yeah, the UK.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, this is good. This is good. Thank you. Anyone else want to jump in? All right, we are moving on then. So as I understand, your sponsor is not necessarily your mentor. So what do you do as a sponsoring agent to get your downline in with a mentor if needed? And if that's not a role, or is that not a role that you choose to fulfill? So how are you keeping your profit share tree engaged with mentoring and education?
So I'll start on that one. So in some companies, whose tree you end up in determines your opportunity and your experiences with that company. And one of the things that I love the absolute most about KW is that we're all part of one team. And so regardless of who your sponsor is, you have the full KW experience, because when one of us wins, we all win together. And the beauty of that is when you attract someone to KW, and I think it's really important to plug them into their market center. You never know who someone is actually going to connect with or identify with. And so you don't have to be their whole world. You don't have to be their mentor, and you can certainly be there to answer questions for them if you can, if you're available, and you don't have to, right? They may identify with someone else in the market center or someone else in the company across the country. Everyone's open to communicate with them. Everyone's open to answer questions for them. They can plug into KW Connect. They can plug into training classes. So you don't have to be their whole world. And so I think that that's a huge opportunity that KW offers, that sometimes you can't be that person. You may not have the knowledge. You may recruit someone who's commercial and you don't have that commercial knowledge. And yet there's someone right there that does, who's totally willing to share, who has no who they're not in their profit share tree. And the beauty of profit share is because it comes from the owner's profit, the total profit of the market share is affected. So anytime anyone sells anything in our market center, we all win. So I think Bob Kalinsky always says, get out of your own zip code. Right. And so I think plugging someone in, which is what you were just talking about, right? Get out of your own zip code and go learn something someplace else. Encourage the people in your profit share tree to experience other people in KW and get the full experience.
Yeah,
The greater the exposure, the greater the opportunity.
I think we underestimate the power of the franchise quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, like, I can, let's say I call somebody that just passed their exam in another state. A lot of this data can be bought, right? Or I call somebody that lives in Honolulu and there's a bold coming to Honolulu and I wouldn't mind having a business interest in Honolulu, right? So I can call them, teach them about how to improve their business, connect them with a local class. I've made the relationship with the leadership there. And then basically when they walk in the door, there's a DOFI right there. There's an ATL in one corner, the TL is in the other corner. The market center administrator is there. The assistant market center administrator is there. The training room is there. It's all the same, right? So all the things that we enjoy, those people are already in place at the market centers across the country, right? And across our area. Now, not every Keller Williams office operates as it should, perhaps, but you've done your part to bring them to the front door. Ultimately, they have to engage, right? They have to go to the classes. They have to wake up and make the calls. They have to create a business plan, right? So we can do anything, we can push them and coach them and, make suggestions on classes that they can go to and all of that. I saw a couple of questions on retention. You're not going to be able to retain every single person. Some people, as we know, just they're not prepared to do the work that this business requires. And oftentimes the quality will show up in the quantity, right? And if you're interacting with somebody who is not a person of integrity or doesn't seem to value the things that we value and they're kind of rude about it, you don't need to continue speaking to them.
Awesome.
I feel like no one knows your recruit as much as you do. So it really starts from the beginning when you're introducing them to a market center, introducing them to the assistant team leader or the team leader and letting them know, hey, Mary just got her license. She's thinking about joining a team. She's not sure. She's afraid to transition from her career to this new career, and just letting them know what's going on so that they can establish that rapport from the beginning and help them get a mentor. And of course, you want it to be duplicatable. You don't want to be doing so much that your new downline says, whoa, I'm definitely not doing profit share. That was a lot of work you put into me too. You want to make it duplicatable, pass them along to the leadership that's going to take care of them.
And by the way, for those that don't know, the leadership is literally in training like 6 to 8 days out of each month. They are practicing and role playing and all the things that the leadership tells you to do with your own sales business. They are also doing with their coaches and their peers, and they are trained and practice all the right questions and all the right responses. You guys don't need to you don't need to be that good. You just need to know the person that's that good.
Awesome. Thank you. So that is kind of like the scripted portion of our panel discussion right now. I am going to turn this over to our fearless chairperson, Miss Roe Coleman, who is going to actually go through our chat box questions for a little bit of Q&A. Miss Roe, are you available?
I am, and I'm actually want to pitch it over to Ashley. We've been going back and forth to keep up with everything. So Ashley will go through the questions that we haven't answered so far, and then I'll come back on afterwards.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so the one question that keeps coming up is about profit share. How do I get paid? How does it work? I know we've answered it about 3 different ways, but but if we can address it one more time. And the first thing is, yes, you can sponsor a KW agent anywhere. They don't have to be in the state where you currently reside. But if I'm going to recruit someone, what ultimately determines that I'm going to get a check? So I'm in Atlanta and I'm going to recruit someone in Chicago, and let's say their office is profitable. How do I get a check?
So when that agent that's in Chicago has a transaction and they pay company dollar, meaning they pay their split to the brokerage, a portion of that split is used to pay the expenses of the office that month, like staff salary, building rent, copy machine, coffee, that kind of stuff. Whatever's left over is profit. And assuming they're profitable, the investor group will share back roughly in the neighborhood of 48% of the profit back through the profit sharing system. So in summary, if you are named the sponsor of somebody that's in an office in, let's say, Chicago, that person has a transaction out of that office and creates profit for that market center, which if they're profitable, that is the case, then you would receive a portion of that profit the following month.
Hey, Bill,
Yes.
is that on the first deal they do, or do they have to cap out?
No, it's actually the opposite. So it's all the transactions leading up to the cap, right? So if, let's say, their first transaction, they pay 30% into their market center, and the market center uses that money to pay the bills, and again, some of it trickles down to become profit. That happens over and over again as they're en route to capping. Let's say they've already capped and then they have another deal. They're not paying any money into the brokerage, meaning they're not participating. None of their transactions resulted in any profit. Therefore, there's no profit share that will come from that person directly until their annual year starts back over again.
Okay, thanks.
The profitability of the market center itself will dictate how much of the $15,000 comes to the sponsor.
All right. So the next question that we have is there anyone who is no longer on the production side because your profit share is booming?
Aaron Kaufman.
Yeah. I mean, I really haven't helped the buyers. I think I've helped 2 buyers and sellers like in the last 4 years or so. I have a team, so my sales team is working those leads, yet I'm not really in production right now.
Let me share something with the people. I can remember, again, my very first check was $1,300. I'll never forget it. And that really got my attention because at the time, my mortgage wasn't even that. And I needed a mortgage payment in the worst way.
Meryl, can you share though that that's not really average or normal, that usually someone's first check is that much though, so that they understand that?
It could not be. I've seen people's check be 13 cents. I've seen it be $13. I've seen it be, but it really has to depend on what office they're in. There are offices that are, more profitable than others, just based on the production of those offices. But what I do want you to think about, and what I wanted to focus on really is, I can recall saying, oh, when I began to pay attention to it, wouldn't it be nice here in Atlanta, our cap is $18,000. Well, wouldn't that be nice if that profit share, if I was able to get that $18,000 back? And I remember that was a fantasy for me. Well, now it's a reality every year. And so it's another reason why I will absolutely be a fool to leave at this point, because I'm here at Keller Williams and I get all of that $18,000 back every year and then some. So you've got to begin to make a goal. For probably 10 years, I did not get 18,000. Maybe I got 11, or maybe I got 13 or whatever. But eventually, like, there's even a club within KWRI called the 100% Club that I didn't even know about until I hit it. When you earn back all of your company dollar through profit share, they actually acknowledge that through Keller Williams International with a pin, I think, and a certificate. So I think the whole idea of this panel is to just put it on your mind. And just like you have goals for other things within your business, this is another potential stream of revenue for you. And let's talk about the fact that if you were to die, you could leave it to your heirs. As long as those people are selling real estate in your tree, your heirs can have that. And I know of situations where that has happened. If you left Keller Williams and went somewhere else, as long as you pay the annual fee for that, you can maintain those people. I know people that have left Keller Williams, but believe in Keller Williams and know that they're small brokerage, that they can't do the training, and they send people in their downline to Keller Williams, even though they're no longer there. And you can even add to your downline after you've left, as long as you pay the annual fee of $25 and keep that thing active. So keep, find one person. Don't worry about $1,300. Get one person and start with having a goal.
Yeah. I think you got to, one thing to add to that, Meryl, is, you got to do the right thing, right? I've been pretty aggressive with the way that I've handled it. I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of cold calls, right? And as I'm building that relationship, I'm asking the question, right? Have you spoken with anyone ever about Keller Williams? Do you know of anyone? Are you related to anyone at Keller Williams? I've literally helped an heir to an agent that was vested that had passed away add people to their downline, right? You gotta do the right
Can you
thing.
explain what it means to be vested real quick and what the number of years just changed? So
yeah, so if you were joined Keller Williams prior to April 1st of 2020, then once you have been at Keller Williams for 3 years and 1 day, you are vested in the system, meaning you could stay or go and you'll always have your slot. Okay. If you joined after April 1st of 2020, then the vesting period is 7 years and 1 day. The way it is right now, it's a little gray right now because we passed 2 years ago a resolution that basically says that those that joined after April 1st of 2020, if they leave Keller Williams even after the 7 years and 1 day, and they go to a competing brokerage, there is a committee that would ultimately be formed in the next several years, because it's not going to be applicable for another 5 years, that could ultimately decide to remove you from the profit share company or system if you are working for competitive brokerage.
Stephanie, can you address this question? Because I know you talked about your profit share tree and how big it is. So we have an agent that said she's new-ish, and when she talks to people, they say, hey, KW is a pyramid scheme, and she does not know how to respond to this.
Sure. So it is pyramid in shape, right? Because it has that little shape. So pyramids, first of all, pyramids are illegal. And but I think of it more as a tree, right? So tree has deep roots, and you start with one person at the top, and then it goes down and it has deep roots in it. So it's in a pyramid, you're selling something, and someone else has to buy something below you in order for the pyramid to work. And the people at the bottom of a pyramid also lose, right? Because and that's why pyramids are illegal. So in KW, the person at the top is actually gifting something to the people below them. And there's never a point where you don't have to buy anything. There's no initial investment for you in profit share. There's no cost to participate in profit share. And it continues to flow as you continue to go down. So we hear that a lot from our competitors, and that's just not an accurate depiction, other than the actual shape of the 7 levels. And that's where, in every rumor there is a component, and so that's where they pick that out, I think. Bill, what would you like to add to that?
Once I'm done kind of laughing a little bit, I will ask the question, so tell me more about that. What do you mean by that? And then they essentially are forced to respond by saying they don't know what they're talking about. And then I'll go into explaining it if I find that it's a worthwhile conversation. However, every compensation plan of every single company that any of us have ever worked for is shaped like a pyramid.
Right.
Right? There's the entry level roles, then there's like the middle managers, the junior managers, the senior managers, and the person at the top. And as the pyramid grows, there's more people at the lower levels of the pyramid, and the compensation decreases. So I have that in my back pocket. The one that I think kind of quiets them down pretty quickly is to say, forget about the pyramid. How much of your brokerage, your owner's brokerage's profits, do you
That
get
part.
a chance to be, do you have access to?
Right.
So what is so bad about the owner of my real estate company choosing to share nearly half of the profits with our agents? Because I'm curious, what percentage of the profits does your broker share?
Oh, that's good.
That is good. Well, here's the other thing.
You got to remember, everyone makes their decisions. Everyone thinks in terms of comparison, right? So if you allow the conversation to go on without the appropriate comparison, then you're not going to win. But if you let them know, look, we're talking about two different options. One is a system where the owner shares profits, and the other is a system where the owner does not share profits. Which one is more appealing to you?
The other thing I think that's important to remember is someone that is in my profit share tree can make more money in profit share than I can.
Oh, for sure.
So it's not even where it's there's
The first man in.
no, yeah, there's no top or bottom to the pyramid, right? Which totally blows that out of the water, because anyone that is in my profit share tree can make far more money in profit share than I can, based on how their tree is structured and what kind of root system it has.
Right. And the other thing is, like, for example, because it's only 7 levels, like I'm on Gary Keller's 27th level. Gary Keller's never seen a nickel of profit share from me.
Right.
Right. And the majority of the people in his profit share tree got into the business in the 80s.
Right. So they're no longer producing.
Right. Exactly. And so therefore, I mean, 90% of my profit share tree is, 35 years or younger. Right. So these are people that are going to cap for years and years and years. So again, it's just time on task. If you, here's a quote that I heard a long time ago that says, the last day that you pick up your last sign from your last listing, that's the last day you're ever going to get paid. And the only ways around that is if you have some type of ownership or profit share or something like that, or you have 7th leveled your team, or have some kind of, golden handoff arrangement with a younger agent or something like that. But if you are not physically selling, where's the money coming from? Many agents are they're trying to figure out how they're going to pay their board dues in a couple months, right? It doesn't have to be that way.
And I don't know any other company that encourages you to have passive income, encourages you to say, hey, what is your plan? When you retire, what money is going to be coming in passively for you?
It's not a coincidence. They don't have the infrastructure to handle that type of intelligence in their office. The first time they start thinking like a business owner, and they look around and no one else is thinking like a business owner, they're going to leave.
Right.
Okay, so we have a few more questions, and I know we're a little over on time, so thank you everyone for still hanging out. We appreciate it. Meryl, if you can go for this one, it's quick. So the profit share amount is based on the performance of the center and the new agent, and not solely the new agent's production, correct?
Yeah, so just imagine, a big cereal bowl. And if there's 200 agents in the office, everyone's split goes into that big cereal bowl for the month. And they're going to pick out just enough cereal to pay the bills. And everything left in the bowl is the profit. And so whatever the profit share is proportionate to what you put in the bowl. And it goes right up all levels in your tree. And I'll be honest with you, this is so embarrassing, but it's the truth. I used to be a cigarette smoker, and I learned about KW over a smoke. And my smoking buddy at the time, I won't say his name, that he still smokes, I don't. And he's still at KW. But he was the #1 agent in the Cobb County Board of Realtors when I was a new agent. And I just admired him so much. He was on cover of magazines. And I learned very quickly, this is a copycat business. This guy right here that smokes with me, I get 15 minutes of his time every time we take a break to smoke. And I mean, I sucked him dry. Every time in that 15 minutes we would smoke. And that's how I learned about Keller Williams. He had no idea who he was putting in his downline. He probably has recruited 10 people ever. He's still there. And I have in my career put over 500 people under him. So he's probably not on, he just had a casual conversation that he had no idea would turn into me being under him. So I just say, don't try to sit and convince the person that wants to talk about the pyramid scheme. You're never going to, that's almost as taboo as getting into a conversation with these people about whether to get a vaccination or not. Some things you have to leave it alone. Some things you have to leave those people alone and let them have their opinion. And that's not the person you were sent to. And you just go find the person that you are sent to, because there are people that are going to be easy. This is not something that's a chore, because our primary business is selling houses. Okay, so this is a side, and it can be, my next milestone is the $500,000 milestone in the little, hierarchy of milestones within the profit share thing. So I think if you just pay attention to it, it will be there for you.
Okay, so now what is the best way to set up a husband and wife for profit share when only the wife works actively in real estate?
So let's say that you are the person that was attracting this couple. So the husband should name you, and then the wife should name the husband. And then all the production will go through the person at the bottom, which is the wife, right? So the husband will profit share off of technically the wife's business, or the family income, or the team income, I should say. And because the wife is going to be more of kind of the face of the business and is probably going to interact more with people in the community, it's best that she is at the bottom, because otherwise it's the difference between getting 50% of the money as a family or 60% of the money as a family.
Okay. Bill, this is for you. How did that lady attract 50 people in 7 months?
So my thing over the year, my primary thing over the years has been calling passers, people that have just passed the real estate exam. And so basically I gave her all of that data. I bought the data, and I had, I bought other programs to fill in the data, right? Some of the data didn't have the people's cell phone numbers, so we bought a program to figure that out. Ultimately, I gave her all the data, and my VA essentially texted and did a bunch of the follow-up, and that's how it happened.
There were a lot of other questions in the chat around how do you retain and how do you help your profit share build their downline. I do think we answered those. Some people are just not right for your profit share, and you have to be okay with that. KW offers all kinds of training that we need to take advantage of. And when one wins, we all win. So there is always a mentor to help anyone at KW. And I think that is all I have for questions. Ro, did I get it right?
Yeah, it's just a new question that just popped in for Bill. I'm not sure if you saw those too, regarding the programs that you use.
Yeah, there's a program called AMP, or an organization called AMP. They do a lot of the licensing exams, and there's a couple of states that you can buy the passers list from. It's way, way, way cheaper than it should be. I mean, literally that should be a $50,000 thing, and it's $90. And the other service, what's the name of that service? We've used a few different things. I mean, we just Googled the person sometimes and found a number. We've used Forewarn, which is an app that a lot of KW offices work with. It's like the background check. Like if you get a kind of a weird, inquiry on a property and you don't feel quite right about it, you can do like a background check on that person really quickly and see if they have any, criminal background, or like I got a call a few years ago from one of our top agents that says, hey, I just got this call and it just didn't feel right. We looked him up. He had just gotten out of jail and he had like 30 something violations for like sexual assault. So a lot of times using those types of systems, you can get telephone numbers.
Bill, it was Forewarn, and what was the other one?
There's one called Fast People Search. There's another one called Forewarn, Forewarn. There's a few states, I don't have this in front of me. I can give it to Ashley and we can share it later, but there's a few states that sell the list for not only passers, but also sell the list for the failers. And oftentimes the failures list is even better, right? Because they need a little pep talk, they need a little encouragement, they might need some help on some math or whatever, and you're able to, deliver more value to them. Those lists are a good bit more expensive. That's like $1,200 or something.
I left off one question, and this is a great one to end with. What has profit share afforded you to do?
Oh, I can answer that one. I mentioned early on that profit share used to be part of my, my operating, expenses, money. And at one point, and that was when the checks were, a few $100s, or they're enough to pay a car payment. And, that was nice to pay a car payment. And but they started to, the check started to grow. And then I started saying, then I'd been at Keller Williams now 7 years. And I'm like, you know what, you're wasting this money. And I would see you guys need to get familiar with our intranet. One day I sat with a bottle of wine and I clicked every single link on there and said, what does this do? Because you don't know what it does. And there's a huge amount of information in our intranet. And there's all these year-over-year reports that are there that show this. And if you've been here for 18 years like me, all of your entire history is there. Now, see, when you begin to do that and you can open that up in front of those people that call it a pyramid scheme, you can show it to them. And then that just shuts it right down. And it totals everything up and you can see it. So I began to say, I'm going to stop spending this money. And I have 4 children. They're grown now, but I had my guy from Northwestern Mutual. I said, this is on average about $3,500 a month. And so let's create an investment for me in the names of my children for $3,500 a month. If it's short that month, I'll make up the difference. If it's more, it'll just, be more. And so I began at that point to save and invest that money in my children's name. And I still do that to this day. And now my grandson too. So it has really just given me an opportunity to take other people's money and save thousands of dollars every month in the name of my children.
Can I just add one quick thing? So we heard that both Stephanie and Merle are investors in their market center, right? So when you say spending other people's money, it's actually your money, right? How good does it feel though to be in business with your agents? Their goal is to sell homes and make money for their families and to grow the market center. And your goal is to take care of them, right? Stephanie, aren't you happy to write that check?
Thrilled. Love it.
Yes, so thank y'all so very much for attending today. We really appreciate it. The Wealth Building Committee has been working hard behind the scenes. So special kudos to our subcommittee members who put this on. Tisha Yamake, Yamaki. And Ashley, I appreciate y'all so very much. Kudos all around. Thank you again to our panelists, Bill, Meryl, Iman, and Stephanie. We are a small wealth building committee, but we have been doing great things based off of the survey results that y'all provided to us. Our first class was Own What You Sell, that focused on home ownership amongst agents. Our next phase was this class, Passion for Profit, to talk about passive income and to help with wealth building. And our next class is on October the 28th, and that's going to be 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, and that's taking your wealth building to yet another level, and that's Real Estate Investing 101. And that's going to be taught by Sabrina, who is an agent in our Keller Williams Chattanooga office. So we really, really appreciate it. Please join our Facebook group, KW Southeast Agents Building.
Ro, you went mute.
Have I been on mute the whole time?
No.
Oh, jeez, Louise in a bucket sheet.
We didn't hear anything you said.
Just at the very end, Ro.
So thank you. Join our Facebook group. Go to our next class, Real Estate Investing 101. The link is in the chat. You will get another communication from the region where you can go and sign up. And we really just appreciate it. Thank y'all. I know that there were a lot of questions there. If you still have a burning question, post it in our Facebook group and we'll definitely get that answer for you, because we want everybody to earn as much passive income as you desire. So have a wonderful day. Panelists and committee members, please stay on. Everyone else, thank you so very much. Hugs, love all around. Rashonda, Ro Coleman, I'm out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Bye, y'all. I just want to grab a quick picture.
Can Brandy pin us all? And so we can be all on the screen together?
That would be great.
You guys, this was really nice.
It was. And
It was,
Yeah, it was fun.
because of you guys. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you
Wow.
for having us.
I do have everyone on the screen. So do you want me to do a screen grab myself of all of you?
Please.
Yes, please.
All right.
Well, we still
Hold on.
have 18 people in.
Yeah, but we can't see them. I can only see you guys.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know if Ro wanted to have a conversation with us, just
It was a
us.
picture.
Oh, just for the picture.
Yeah, it was just a picture.
Okay.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Where's Stephanie?
She's there.
Okay.
Oh, you're taking a picture from your view, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Gotcha.
I think this was fantastic. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And Ashley and Ro, you
I
guys.
love Iman.
Yeah.
Aw,
Yes.
thank
Isn't she
you.
awesome?
Oh my God, where
Oh,
are you,
thank
girl?
you. Oh, I'm in the Cherokee Market Center with Stephanie.
So
Oh,
you know
I
who her
should've-
sponsor is,
I
right?
should have known.
No, not me. Mr. Rick Hale. Mr. Rick
Oh,
Hale is her
see?
sponsor.
Rick.
She is awesome.
Absolutely,
Oh, thank
she is.
you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Fantastic.
Well,
Great job.
Well,
All right.
thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much.
thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye
Now,
bye.
I
Good
got to tell
night.
you this funny story before we hop off.
Oh.
I'm actually on my way to Florida, and I thought I was supposed to be in Florida tomorrow at 4. And actually, I was supposed to be in Florida today at 4. Although I did not leave my house until 3 p.m. And I was like, oh my word, how am I going to facilitate? I'm the moderator, like I can't not show up. So on the way, I am in Montgomery, Alabama right now in a hotel room. Using their Wi-Fi, thank God for business expenses write-off, so I could be here on this panel. I got to finish the rest of my trip.
Oh,
Oh my
Wow.
goodness, so you're not even gonna
God.
stay? You're just stopped at the hotel and then heading on out?
Yes, I have to be there tonight, so I am.
Commitment.
Oh,
Yes.
I appreciate you.
That's it. All right, y'all.
Well,
Be
thank you
careful
so much.
driving.
Thank
Don't
you,
worry.
everybody.
All right.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye.
Hi, Ashley's co-host.